We want to come through and touch it up with wipe. We ready to go?
This would be what I saw left behind. When we were rinsing the car, we saw we had no protection left behind. We had no contamination left behind. But let's say I did. Let's say I kind of looked at the hood and I go, man, this has got like some kind of stubborn thing on it. Wax, grease, sealant, whatever. I would go to a wipe step.
Definitely.
Then I'm prepped and ready to go. Again, on this particular video, we're talking about going directly into a 1-year coating. But if I was going to go in and do a multi-year coating after polishing, I'm always using wipe. I'm always going to use wipe. But the reality is, in this instance, we saw nothing left behind. So don't overdo it. Again, that's just another step that could introduce something. You know, you could have a towel grab, maybe you didn't spray enough. So don't risk something you don't need to risk.
Yeah. And that's why you use cleanse. Use the specific.
100%.
We kind of reiterated, I know we talked about it earlier, but it just kind of brings it right back to it, right? Like when you use the right products in the process, you alleviate steps. We now don't need to come through and spend 10 more minutes. Now, if we had 10 minutes, hey.
Yeah. And look, there's no harm in doing it if it makes you feel better. There's a lot of guys that do a lot of steps because it's their car. They want to take the extra precaution. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't take the extra precaution because bad things can happen, right? So every time you're touching the paint, you could introduce something. The less I touch it, the better off. But if I have to, I'm doing it.
Cool.
Right? And that's the point.
So we've fuegoed, we deconned it.
Yeah, iron decon.
We've iron deconned it. We've stripped it now, made it, this is what we're getting back to that naked part. We like that. Done that with cleanse. Ready to coat?
Yeah, we're ready to coat. And again, remember, we're coating with a flexible 1-year coating. We're not putting a 5-year coating on this without polishing. We're going into a protection step. And you know who this fits, Marty? We talk about this all the time. This really fits people that don't feel comfortable with a polisher, don't feel comfortable with a 5-year coating, 3-year coating, those types of things. This 1-year coating that we're about to do is just an amazing thing to kind of either A, you're the professional, want to offer a 1-year coating to your customers, or you're a DIYer, you don't feel comfortable with the multi-year coating, or what if you're just not going to keep the car much longer, right? Maybe you're just going to keep the car another year. You're like, I got another year left on my lease. I just want it to look as good as I can make it look, and this is a great process for that.
All right, so let's talk about then the towels we're going to use, why we've chosen these specific towels. Gloves?
No, you can have the gloves.
I'll keep the gloves.
Well, we have just so everybody knows, we have a barrier applicator pad, so I don't know how it gets on people's hands so much, but you know, one of these chemicals I've been using for 25 years is going to get me, so it's going to get me. But you should use gloves at home. But this is one of those things. Why do we choose this system? This is called the leveler towel. When you are laying down a coating, what you're actually doing is you're leveling the coating and kind of spreading it out more evenly while also picking up some of the solvents that are being released from it. You don't want to do that with a high pile towel for one simple reason. You might pick up too much material.
That's a good point.
You might pick up actual coating where what you're really trying to do is pick up the solvents. So you want a low pile towel for your first wipe. You want a densely piled towel. People use a lot of high pile towel in coating removal. The problem is those long fibers tend to kind of spread product more than they soak it up. So we have a very high GSM final wipe towel called the Versatile, but it's dense. Hopefully on camera you can see it doesn't have extremely long fibers. And this is why I love it for this application.
Those long fiber towels are good for some things in detailing.
Yeah.
They have their spot. This is not it.
No.
This is not it at all.
And I think, look, we were all kind of into those towels when they first got released. Then when you start to use a densely high GSM towel, you realize it's just a better way to do your final wipe on a coating. And so the point of our Uno product is simplicity, but also getting all the benefits of a ceramic coating. Technology wasn't there even a short period ago. I mean, when I started putting on coatings in 2009, 2010, if you put a coating on and you messed up, you had to sand the whole door panel. You had to sand the whole hood. We've come a long way. And one of the things that kind of frustrates me in the coating world are the people that are acting as if we haven't come a long way. Make something clear. Nobody wants to go back to 2010 and install a coating where if you have one little high spot, you got to literally sand the whole panel. Nobody wants to go back to that. that's the beauty of something like Uno is, maybe it's your wife's car. Maybe you're a car guy and you just want your wife's car to look the best it can, but you don't want to polish it. You don't want to put a 5-year or 3-year coating on it because she doesn't take the best care of it. And you got your garage car you love and that's what you want to spend your time on. You can get around a car in 20, 30 minutes with Uno, have all the benefits of a robust ceramic coating. We have people seeing 2+ years out of our 1-year coating.
Absolutely.
Right? So this is a robust 1-year coating. And it's something that anyone can apply. If you can wax a car, you can put on Uno.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Period.
Are we going back to, what's that, dodgeball?
Yeah. Hey. Dodge, dodge.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Yeah, I did get kind of salesy right there, didn't I? Heading out to the fair this weekend.
Oh, I wasn't going that way on the salesy part. I was going on, I thought it was hilarious.
What is it? Dodge, duck, dive, and dodge.
All right, so we're going with Uno. We got a couple different sizes currently, but those sizes might
be changing.
Reducing later.
Okay.
Now, you moved the towels. So let's go over something for a second. Yep. Sometimes, which I like to do, put a safety towel down that I set the other towels on top of.
Oh, that's a great.
Are you that kind of guy or no?
Probably on a more robust coating, a flexible coating like Uno, I'm a little bit more free.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Good point.
Right. So I get into our 3-year, our 5-year, where a mistake can be, a little bit of a headache. I don't mind it. I think probably one of the things I end up doing a lot of times.
Listen, I rode the short bus to school, so hey,
but I do like that idea. That's probably, and in my shop I have a cart, so my towels will go on the cart. Right, so I have a ceramic coating cart that I would put everything on, and everything would just relay back to that cart. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of shooting a video here.
Cart is the best way to go, but if I'm in my garage, I might not be able to have a cart.
And you don't have to buy a $500 cart to coat a car.
You don't.
So
throw a versatile down, then you don't have to worry about transfer because you'll see, right? As we go to wipe stuff. Then you go to set your towel down somewhere.
And you can leave a high spot.
You can leave some product and you can transfer some product from the towel onto another section of the paint, causing yourself a little bit more problem. So I like to go ahead and throw a little safety towel down.
So I'm going to go through my process, and this process works for any coating, okay? The sections may be smaller as you get to a higher year coating, 5-year.
Uno, Dose, Trey,
and Sparta, right? So you kind of look at our coating system. Uno's the one where you got a lot of flexibility, okay? We're working on a white vehicle. It's going to be tough to pick everything up on camera, but I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to show people how to properly put the amount of drops to get this thing started, okay? So one of the things that I tell people is when I first start, Marty, that's probably 30 or 40 drops, okay? And I cut my pads in half.
Literally?
I'm not going to do the whole pad, and I'll show you why.
Oh, good. I was going to go grab my pocket knife. I thought we were going to do some surgery.
So here we go. Go ahead and hold that. Now, with Uno, in most climates, especially if you're in your garage or shop, you can do about a half a hood. Okay, if it's a little warmer, you can cut it down a little bit, but here's what I do. I got plenty of product on my pad. Now, my guiding for the middle of it is the middle of the emblem up all the way, and the body lines are my guide. I'm going to put what's called a drip line right in the middle of the panel, okay? Now I'm going to go around the edge, and this is why I don't use the whole pad, because I have ultimate control.
Point out the fingertips, right?
Yeah.
I do the same thing. So I'll put it only on one section. You keep going. Some people, when they go to wipe, right, then they go put their entire hand down and they start using the entire part of the pad. Why have you chosen to use the fingertips and come through like this?
Control. Now, here's the importance of the drip line. Now you guys see me going vertically. So all that excess product's in the middle of my panel. It's not on an edge. Okay? This is where a lot of people go wrong. The biggest reason for high spots, and remember, we're going to crosshatch not because it's necessary. I see a lot of circular motions now. That's a big no-no in my book because it leaves a lot more high spots. Because when I'm moving, every time I get to the top.
Bingo, thank you. I was going to ask you to explain that because some people would go, you don't do circle because you're going to leave a swirl.
No.
Well, I'm not going to leave a swirl mark. First of all, my hand doesn't move fast enough to mimic a high-speed rotary.
Yeah.
So I'm not that quick. So I haven't swirled the paint.
Nope.
And so that's generally the common thought.
Yep.
And so some people have said, it's okay then. I can go through and they'll just slap it on and they just start going to town circular wise.
So I want people to think about this. And by the way, I lay this down. I would have a cart here normally. I lay this down, nothing's touching anything. It's protected, it's not gonna leave a high spot. But when you use a circular motion, I want you to think every time you reach the top of the circle, you're gonna leave some more product. And you're gonna leave more product, and you're gonna leave more product. The drip line method, I put all my excess product in the middle, I box in everything, and then I go through that drip line, picking up any excess product to spread it evenly over the area. This is, and you go back to 2010, 2014, when a high spot meant sanding, you better have used this, because where do you actually get high spots? Pushing excess product to the next panel. That's
and you'll
where
find
you
a lot of, and right up in that corner, right?
Oh yeah, right here.
Right here.
100%.
Right here, a lot.
So now what we have is our flash, let's call it our flash, is beading. You'll see it start to sweat, is what a lot of guys like to hear. We have sweat, especially here. We're seeing nice beads. We're seeing this can be leveled. Okay? I can also wait a little bit. I can continue to wait where I see more even sweating throughout. But this is your home turf, a little bit more humidity. I have a little less humidity where I'm from. This is removal time, isn't it?
I was going to ask you, what's it like when you see it? Because you're right, you're from Vegas, I'm from Oklahoma. Right now we're in the fall, it's great temperature, good on humidity, but it is still higher than where you're from.
So this is a little bit faster, than I would see in my shop, for sure, with the drier air.
So we see, when you look at it, you see them start to really separate their lines.
Yes.
Right, so the beads, you'll see beads, but when you see them start to separate into rows and have beads.
Which is where we're at. Okay, so I'm not gonna throw my towel on this edge. I'm gonna throw my towel kind of here near the top. Then I'm gonna work myself to the edge. And now I want people to see how slowly I am working and leveling the coating, okay? One of the things I do is pick up the edge where my thumb is. And what I'm doing here is just slowly and methodically removing any solvent, leveling the coating, spreading it a little bit more evenly, okay? I know I have some excess around an emblem. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of do an extra wipe there, but nothing happened quickly.
No, okay? And let's examine your towel for a second, because some people will grab a towel, right?
Yep.
They'll just grab it and start going, right? We know it's got to go to the 4,
yep.
But even in a 4, some people will just grab it and start going after it.
Yep.
You and I share a unique feature that I don't see very often when I watch people in this process. We'll grab up part of the towel with that thumb, yep. Right? And then that allows us to come through. I don't like to have this part of the towel as I go to wipe.
No. It starts to get uneven.
And so even if I'm on this side, I'll still grab these, I'll pick them up, and it's a guide as I start going around that edge. I can follow as I go.
So we're now on the final buff. You notice I still did that slow, but let me give you another one. Now I'm gonna flip it, and this is where I'm gonna have some speed. Okay, and I'm also, if you can see on camera, I'm gonna go over the body line, Marty. Anything that I may have risked pushing to the next body panel, I'm just going to solve by doing what? I think I crossed over there a little bit. Hair. So let me go ahead and wipe that.
I'll take that on me, Mr. Walters.
Yeah, no problem. So here's one of the things, this final wipe is I'm crossing over the headlight. I'm crossing down onto the front bumper. Let me go ahead and buff this little excess off that I pulled from your side. And this stuff happens. This is why I tell people you need to kind of relax when you're coating a car, especially when you're using Uno. Nothing's irreversible. If you make a mistake, grab a polisher, some light polish, and go ahead and polish it off. That's the point of this type of coating.
Well, does that mean it doesn't work?
No, it's the exact opposite. This is probably the coating we get the most positive feedback on, right? Where people are like, oh, if you're
they're kind of shocked.
Yeah, if your 1 year coating lasts that long, if your 1 year coating has that behavior, if your 1 year coating, And
well,
again,
I think they're shocked too by the market.
that's a good
What
point.
is the market's 1 year coating actually?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time it's a spray and it's not solvent based. It's a water based that they're telling you lasts a year. When you say the word coating, you better take the lid off and you better smell some solvents. If you don't, it's not a coating, and that's okay. We have slick, we have spray coat. There's a place for those things. There's not a place for telling somebody it's a coating when it's water based.
Yeah.
That's just a confusion in the market.
Ceramic coating, right?
Yeah.
Because we can throw out coating as, and a lot of people do, coating can be a general term as any form of protection. You want to then define it out a little bit more as ceramic coating.
Yep. And this is one of the things also when I coat a car. If you're not comfortable, stop. Stop. I mean, we can tell you horror stories of guys, giving us a story of when they coated a car and they're like, I was uncomfortable and I coated the whole car. Now the car doesn't look great. It's like, hey man, it's okay to just stop.
If you're not feeling it.
Yeah, just stop and say, okay, what am I doing wrong? What may I have missed? And this is the important part of the leveler. You're not actually removing all of it.
Yeah. So you'll see the sections that it pulls, right?
Yep.
But when you look out at it, I say you almost see like a fog, a haze.
Yep. Which is a level, right? This now looks way more even than before you started to wipe, right? That's the point of leveling a coating. You're actually spreading it into more pores more evenly. This is why we use the same straight line strokes that we always use on application and removal. You never saw me do this. It wasn't about swirling, but I wanted to keep the process the same so I could see if I made a mistake. The minute I kind of change my process, I have a hard time seeing if I made a mistake.
Listen,
right?
You wouldn't have passed Mr. Miyagi's class. I know that.
No, and look, it's not for, like you said, it's not for the reasons people think, man. I'm not gonna swirl the paint up. I'm just trying to keep my process really dialed in. You know what I mean? And if I do everything similarly every time, and I do it almost exact every time, look, man, if you're applying by circles, that means you should be removing by circles, right? I don't want to sit here
and washing.
I don't want to do this.
And polishing.
Yeah, doing everything.
And drying.
And this is so slick already. I mean, this car was in terrible shape, and now the hood just with a little love, little decontamination, little bit of strip wash, Uno.
And we got pop, right?
Yeah, and 100%.
And when they pick it up, they're going to get out and they're going to go,
wow. Yeah, and that's the best part,
absolutely.
Right? That's why we're doing it. And so we can do a couple things with Uno. I think one of the things we can talk about here is doing this front trim. So we'll kind of reorganize here on our end. But this stuff is, we got to obviously blow some of that out. But we can coat the trim with Uno.
Let's do it.
You know what I mean?
That'd be great for the bugs, right?
Yep.
Absolutely great for the bugs. The question that some people are going to have, right? What about the rock chips?
You should PPF your car. Okay. Anybody telling you their coating is rock chip proof or whatever, you should run as fast as you can the other way. This isn't that. It's to keep contamination off your clear coat. It's to protect your clear coat, give you some UV protection, give you some gloss, give you ease of maintenance. That's what it is.
Yeah. Peace of mind while you're sitting there. You've bought a nice vehicle, right? Why would you go through and do some of the shady stuff that we hear about when you buy a car? And you can just simply either go to a hyperCLEAN detailer or do it yourself and put down Uno like this. That's simply.
And just so we don't forget, coat your headlights.
Absolutely.
Coat your headlights.
Good point.
Coat your rear, your side view and the plastic around it where it gets really hammered. The windshield trim, coat it. Uno's safe. This is an all-in-one. We'll kind of walk you through the trim coating so guys feel comfortable with what it looks like. It looks different, but it's not going to hurt it. It's going to help it. So this is something you get your car right off the lot, new to you, used, or brand new car with no miles on it. If you don't feel comfortable polishing or you just want to get into coating, this is your entry point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's get to that trim.
You got it.